Welcome to the Rocket VA podcast, episode number 2. If you're here, you might have already tuned into episode 1, where I talked about how I went from breaking the mold of living a 9 to 5 life and in the corporate world to actually transforming my life completely and now living here in Barcelona through virtual assisting, because this was a tool and a career that actually enabled me to create freedom and flexibility in my life. So I've shared with you a bit about my journey. And today in this episode, I really want to talk to you about a few questions that I get asked quite regularly. And one of the things is, yes, Debbie, I understand that you have this freedom lifestyle and it looks like you are living a great life, but what do you actually do? And what actually is a virtual assistant? So, in this episode, we are going to answer those questions, and we're also going to debunk the myths and answer any common questions that you might be thinking or might be wondering right now. So, there are many myths and misconceptions about this career, and if you've been curious about becoming a VA, I want to give you a clear picture of what the role really involves, plus the kind of services that you could offer, the myths that might be holding you back, and really the essential qualities that you need to succeed. As a virtual assistant, you are technically a freelancer and building a business on your own, and that means that you need certain qualities and values and a real determination in your mindset to actually build a successful VA business. So, we're going to start with what actually a VA is. So, VA or virtual assistant is a self-employed professional who provides remote support to entrepreneurs, business owners, and organizations. So, as a VA, you can work with a client who is a sole trader or someone who has a relatively small business, or you can also work with larger organizations or entrepreneurs who have multiple projects. It really depends on the scope of work and also what kind of work you want to do. So the support that you do as a VA can be administrative, like managing inboxes, scheduling calls, or even doing research. And it can also be technical, like tech support, websites, creating automations, or setting up systems. So the variety of work that you can do as a VA is very varied. And some VAs choose to offer multiple services, and other VAs choose to niche into one service or into one industry, which also we'll talk about in other episodes. And the most important thing about being a VA is that it's not just doing admin work. I think sometimes the word for VA or virtual assistant can sound a bit like either you're a robot or perhaps that it's boring. And I can assure you that it's none of them. And yes, while artificial intelligence, aka robots, and is playing a part in the virtual assistant landscape, especially at the moment, a VA is a human person and they provide such an incredible service to clients, and I have such great feedback from the clients that I've worked with, and also the clients that I know are working with VA alumni from the Rocket VA Academy. They also get great feedback because at the end of the day, nothing can replace a human touch. And when you're a VA, you're not just a secretary online. You're a partner in someone's business. And I really like to describe a VA as being a right-hand wingman or wingwoman, being that person who's there to support them, to inspire a client, to motivate them, to keep them accountable, and to really help take the tasks off their plate so that they can focus on growth while you, the VA or the potential VA, can build a flexible career that works around your life. So it really is, it's a win-win career for both the client working with an awesome VA and also the VA who actually is enabled to create a life and a career that's much more freedom based. So services that a VA typically provides. Now let's talk about the services that a VA offers. So, and remember, you don't have to do it all. You can start with what you know and grow from there. And when I first started out as a VA, as you probably heard in episode 1, I'd taken my marketing background and also kind of fell into the VA world and learned a lot of tasks and tools and services from scratch. But because I did it from scratch, that meant I was doing £10 an hour jobs and really doing the research myself. And it took me years to get to the place where I was earning the kind of money that I wanted to earn, which is why I've created the Rocket VA Academy. So that literally I put everything that I know and mixing of my marketing background and also my VA experience and created these 14 core modules so that all the kind of services that you could offer as a VA have been included in there, and that you can actually learn them and get mentorship and understand how things work rather than learning yourself. And that as with any learning, there's always self learning that needs to be done. But ultimately, there's a framework and a toolkit there for you to get going. So let's talk about the kind of services. So common services include admin support, such as email, scheduling, maybe it's even planning for travel and researching, maybe it's even data inputting. Now there is AI that can support us, but ultimately a human does need to be involved in this. The social media management, so there's creating content, scheduling posts, engaging with followers. A trained VA can do all of the above. Then there's content and marketing support. There's writing blog posts, formatting newsletters, creating graphics, the kind of marketing things that enable a client to make sure that their brand has more exposure and really elevate the brand. So if you are a trained VA with good copywriting and good email formatting experience, you're going to be able to take their brand guidelines and take the brand vision that they have for their marketing and actually help a client actually get work out there. You can also do tech systems and support, so things like setting up tools like Kajabi, like websites, updating landing pages. You might even want to build the websites yourself, which we also train you to do in the Rocket VA Academy. We train you on Kajabi and Squarespace. There's so many different systems and tech stuff that's out there, but they're the ones that we focus on, and also we always update our trainings, so we're constantly adding new systems like ClickUp and Dubsado, things that you can provide, systems that you can provide support for with clients. Then there's also things like creative services, so simple design in Canva, video editing, digital product creation. And I will always put a disclaimer on anything in the VA world is that, especially with anyone that trains to become a VA in the Rocket VA Academy, we train you to understand and to be able to complete all of these different services to a good level of efficiency. But we're not training you to be an expert in any of these fields. There's always going to be a copywriter with a PhD in linguistics. There's always going to be a trained graphic designer who is trained on all these different Adobe suites and InDesign. But we're training you in things like Canva. And also as a VA, you're not expected to necessarily know this kind of level, because as a virtual assistant, a lot of the times in teams, you're actually working with different team members. So for example, you might be working with a graphic designer who comes in, creates the templates, creates the logos, creates the look and feel, and then you as a virtual assistant will take their templates and actually edit them and create ongoing designs based on this. So I think that's a big disclaimer around any of these services that a VA offers, is that there's always going to be someone who is trained specialist, but you as a VA are going to have a really good knowledge of these key areas and be able to offer these services. You can also offer support in specialist niches, like things like podcast management, event coordination, bookkeeping, or even online business management as you grow. And, things like podcast management, and lots of people, look at this right now, I am creating my own podcast because I know how to do it. And the reason that I know how to do it is because I trained myself, and now I'm training other people to do the same. And things like setting up your podcast, getting it published on the different channels, how to do the audio files, and also I have links and connections in the Rocket VA Academy to trained experts as well. So it's not necessarily meaning that you have to do it yourself, all of it, but it does mean that as a virtual assistant, you could do things like write the podcast notes, actually publish the podcast, booking the clients, like the whole process is there's skills and sequences behind everything. So as a virtual assistant, you can provide a multitude of different services. And honestly, for me, I really enjoyed the variety. And I think that's one of the things I felt like I loved in the beginning of my VA journey, because, I'd come out of this corporate job where I was getting told what to do every day, like this is your task, like we have these goals, like you go away and do this. But as a virtual assistant, it was the first time I was like, wow, I actually get to have some creative input and talk to my client and say, okay, I think we should do this. I think you should launch a podcast. I think we need to set these systems. I think we should do a weekly email, all of these things. And actually, through that, then I got to create the things myself. And, yes, I have worked in teams, multiple teams where we've had different levels of team support. So I've worked with teams who had a bespoke copywriter and a graphic designer and also a tech VA. And then I was a customer happiness manager or customer service. Then I've also worked in teams where it's literally just been me and the client, and I've been doing lots of that stuff myself. So, I think being a virtual assistant enables you to offer a variety of services, and also it's kind of trial and error. You can try working with a client and decide, okay, I really love working with this team, or maybe you want to work with clients and kind of be more hands-on doing everything, and it's really up to you. And you can really lean into your skills, your interests, your strengths, and build services that you really enjoy offering. So I'm always One thing that I always say is just to make sure that you're having fun along the way. You're building this career because you want to help and support people and also create a life of freedom and flexibility. And by doing that, it shouldn't feel like you are coming to your desk every day hating the tasks that you do. Sometimes I've trained VAs in the academy who have been trained in all of these 14 modules, these different services, and they've decided that they don't like copywriting or they don't like doing social media support. And that's okay. They don't have to offer those services. As a VA, you can choose the services that you offer. So it's really up to you, and you can really build a life and a business that feels good for you. And ultimately, then I think that the energy that you put in with your work, with clients, is just so much better because they're feeling like, okay, this person really wants to turn up for their job. They really want to show up for me, and they're producing good work because they love it. And that's so important. And if there's something that you don't know, always, always, always ask and tell your client and say, okay, I'm not too familiar with this, or this isn't my area of expertise. I think we should bring in an expert in social media for this, at least to give us some ideas or some direction. And I think it's better to do that than take loads of your time just worrying about it, or even researching and kind of getting nowhere. If you're training and part of a VA academy like the Rocket VA Academy, you can come to us and ask for support, and you always have ongoing training and learning. But if you're not, then you might find yourself in a space where you're questioning whether you can do something or how things are done. And that's when it can get like, you can waste time. It becomes a worry on your mind, and at the end of the day, nothing is worth your worry. So just always ask questions, come and find the support that you need, and be really transparent with your clients as well. So now that you know about what a VA is, the kind of services that we can offer as a VA, let's debunk some of the myths that might be holding you back. So let's look at myth number one. So maybe you think you need years of experience. So the truth is, you can start with skills that you already have, whether these skills are from your jobs, from parenting, or life, and training can fill the gap. So looking at the skills that you need, I would say the biggest skills that you need as a virtual assistant are: you need to be organized, you need to have good communication, and you need to be really proactive. Now, most of us in our day-to-day lives probably possess these qualities, but if you don't, then virtual assistant might not be for you. But if you think about the skills that you have, let's look at the job you have right now. Maybe you're handling a lot of inquiries in an inbox. All of a sudden, you have great experience in customer service. Maybe you're managing your clients' calendars, so you've got calendar and admin support already. I think there's a lot of things that we can think, oh gosh, I don't know enough, I can't get started. Honestly, think of the day-to-day skills, and honestly, let's even look at, for example, some of the nurses who have joined the academy. They have come from a nursing background. They've been working on the nursing floor, doing not computer things, but the things that they have been doing is like they've been managing teams, they've been project managing, they've been calm under pressure, they've been proactive, they are still creative in their responses. All these things can be transferred into a VA life. So you don't need years of experience. You just need to be proactive, ready to train to fill the gaps, ready to learn on the go, and really motivated and willing to try and fail as well. And the training part, I would say the training, it is helpful because if you know the kind of tools and platforms that you can use as a VA, then it's really going to help you propel you faster and also make you feel more confident. Because I found that when I've come onto calls or discovery calls with clients and I'm like, yes, I know this platform, this platform, this platform, then you know already that you can actually complete the job for a client and you don't feel like you're guessworking. And I think that confidence really is important, especially when you're building your business in the beginning. So you don't need years of experience, but use the skills that you have and then train to fill the gaps. Myth number two, it's only admin work. So that's not truth. The truth is, as I said before, about all the different areas of services that you can provide as a VA, you can specialize in creative or tech areas too. So honestly, especially in the Rocket VA Academy, it's now called Rocket VA Virtual Assistant and Marketing Academy because there's so much marketing in there. So there's things like the email creation, newsletters, copywriting, search engine optimization for blogs. We have also guest experts in there who are bringing in their expertise in things like how to create reels, how to do Canva designs, how to use MailChimp for email marketing, all these different areas. So really, it's not just admin work, it's actually a really, really fun opportunity to do creative work too. Myth number 3, you have to work for free at first. Absolutely not. And I would say do not work for free. The most I would ever say is perhaps have an introductory rate, which could be like £5 off your hour for the first 3 months for your first couple of clients. If you really want to kind of get to grips with the VA world, your clients, and also to grow your confidence while working with clients in the first couple of months. But I would say absolutely do not offer free work, because I think that kind of sets a precedent for you, and ultimately your work is worth money. And I mentioned in the first episode that I did some £10 an hour jobs during COVID, and looking back, I would absolutely never recommend anyone who is trained through the Rocket VA Academy to charge £10 an hour. Zero chance. I say charge minimum £25 UK or €30 or 30 US dollars, around that area per hour, and also to charge per retainer basis. So rather than hourly, always have a minimum of 10 monthly hours per client per month, because I believe that if you're working with clients and if you are charging hourly, sometimes they can kind of be really laissez-faire with the kind of support that they need. And like, oh, this month I just need a couple. So I really believe that with work, you should always charge for your work. And, I mentioned in the first episode that I did some £10 an hour jobs during COVID. And looking back, I would absolutely never recommend anyone who is trained through the Rocket VA Academy to charge £10 an hour. Zero chance. I say charge minimum £25 UK or €30 or 30 US dollars, around that area per hour, and also to charge per retainer basis. So rather than hourly, always have a minimum of 10 monthly hours per client per month, because I believe that if you're working with clients and if you are charging hourly, sometimes they can kind of be really laissez-faire with the kind of support that they need. And like, oh, this month I just need a couple of emails, and next month let's see. But that leaves you in a place where you're kind of waiting for work. You've saved the time potentially for this client, but no, your time is your time is valuable as a virtual assistant. So remember that from the very beginning. Always charge, and always, I would say, have retainers so that you can know your workflow and know the kind of clients you're working with, and also know how much availability you've got to take on new clients. At the end of the day, you're coming here to earn money, and if you are wanting to work part-time or full-time, whatever the situation that you want or the goal that you have, it's important that you are building your clients to fill those hours of time. So definitely do not go and work for free. Myth number 4, the market is too saturated. The truth is, the online business world is absolutely exploding. There's space for everyone who positions themselves well. And I think that's a key. And also a reason why we as virtual assistants or potential virtual assistants should keep training, keep learning. And I myself, I am a VA mentor, I'm an online business manager. I'm still working with clients, and it's so important for me that I keep training, keep aware of new skills and new technologies, because not only am I working with clients and wanting to make their businesses the most efficient and the most best, but also I'm training virtual assistants, and it's so important that you as a VA has access to the latest learning and technology. And, there are so many businesses going online, especially since COVID. There's space for everyone who positions themselves well. So imagine, if you were a virtual assistant and you know how to work with artificial intelligence, AI, then you're going to position yourself in a different, like a higher space than someone or a VA who is not trained with AI, because you're ahead of the time. So this is one of the things, like in the VA Academy, we've just created a new AI module. So definitely the market is not too saturated. Get yourself out there, get trained, get going, charge your worth, and trust me, the clients will come. Myth number 5, I'm not techie enough. And the truth is, tools can be learned. Just remember that everyone was a beginner at some point, and confidence grows with practice. And in the VA Academy also, we have modules and workbooks where you can work through things in your own time. And also we do a lot of recommendations for learning in other places. So things like Squarespace, YouTube, Canva, they have their own learning platforms. And this is where you're going to go and actually watch even more tutorials, like how to work with enhanced tools in different ways. And if you think right now you're not techie enough, that you're struggling with certain systems, don't worry. You're going to be able to do it by the end of working with someone like the Rocket VA Academy, or when you're a virtual assistant and have learned the skills. you're going to not even worry about tech. It's not even going to be in your mind to worry about. So remember, tools can be learned and everyone is a beginner. So there's some of the common myths that I'm regularly asked. And what are the common questions that aspiring VAs also ask me? So, I do host regular discovery calls with VAs who are looking to potentially join the Rocket VA Academy. And some of the most common questions that I hear are, do I need qualifications? No, you don't need official qualifications. The VA industry is not regulated in that way, but training does help. And that's why I create the Rocket VA Academy, to have a training system so that you can feel confident. You don't need qualifications, but training helps. And then the Rocket VA Academy will also give you support in our question and answer sessions. And also, if you have joined us on a couple of our packages, then we give you one-to-one support in the forms of case study feedback. If you've trained with a reputable academy like the Rocket VA Academy, then that's going to make you not only feel more comfortable, but also going to set you aside from other VAs who've had no training at all. How do I find clients? This is a question I'm asked a lot, and I think it's probably one of the most important, because ultimately, if you are here and want to become a virtual assistant, you want to earn money, you want to find clients, and you want to get working. So there are many ways that we say that you can find clients. The first one is, I would say, word of mouth. Think about all the people in your life, in your circle, everyday life, who know someone who has a small business, or they need support for their social media, they need support on their emails. I'd say word of mouth. Once you get talking about your business, and be really loud and proud about your business, like, yeah, do you know I'm virtual assisting now? This is what I do. The amount of people who will say, wow, I didn't know this is what a virtual assistant does. And oh my gosh, I have this person who really needs help with their social media. First thing I would say, word of mouth, talk about what you're doing. Don't be scared to talk about it. And then networking, like networking online and in person, make sure you're getting out and about to local networking events. There's so many like ladies and men in business in your local community. Go on Eventbrite, go on online, see what's in your area, and get networking. Take business cards if you want, or make sure you have some kind of presence to share with them, like a website or an Instagram page. And also go and look at online communities. So there are so many Facebook groups, and I see regularly people, entrepreneurs, looking for virtual assistants. So make sure you're in these groups, ready to reply, ready to send them your information. Also referrals, like for me, when I first started my business, I got a lot of client referrals, which I'm very grateful for. So, I did working with multiple clients. Each client that I was working with, they'd be like, oh gosh, this person in my life needs someone, or I know this person needs support. Do you have any capacity? And I'd be like, yes, great. Then I'd be referred and working with some more awesome clients. So I'd really say referrals are great as well. And then we're looking at platforms that you can actually promote your services on, for example, Fiverr. But I recommend kind of not to go on these platforms if you can help it, because there's so many different VAs and people advertising their services on these platforms. But what we're also doing in the Rocket VA Academy right now, and it's super, super exciting, is that we have built this new VA profile board. This is basically where anyone who's been through the VA Academy and completed our annual or ultimate support packages, which is where you get the case study feedback, then actually you will be promoted on our Rocket VA profile board. And this is a place where entrepreneurs can come and find and reach out to trained VAs who have gone through the whole Rocket VA Academy. And I think that's really great, because it means that's also another platform for you to be promoted. And also it's an accreditation of the amazing work that everyone in the Academy does. So finding clients is, I would say, definitely word of mouth, getting yourself out there and just going for it. How much can I charge as a virtual assistant? Well, this really depends on your services and confidence, but even beginners can start with your retainer packages and different services that you really want to offer. So, if you've decided that you want to offer social media support and customer service, you could offer them both as separate services, put them on your website, and have, say, perhaps 20 hours a month for both, and you have set services that include. So, for example, you would create 10 social media posts, you do engagement 3 times a week, you would send 3 emails, and this would be for a certain number of hours per month. You can also set retainer packages, which would be like 10 hours a month. We see what work we get done in those hours. And it really does mean that you can charge anywhere, as I said, from £25 an hour. But in the virtual assistant industry, you can charge anywhere from, I'd say, £10 an hour to like £45 an hour. So like $20 to like $50 an hour. And this means that then you can choose this. So technically, it's a place where you can just create your rate based on how confident you feel and the quality of your work. And, if you are a copywriter and have lots of experience copywriting, then actually that's the highest paid skill. So you could potentially charge more for that. Also, if you are focusing on building websites, again, building websites can be charged on package bases. And again, this is also an in-demand skill. So you could charge a package for something like a website. And again, in the Rocket VA Academy, we help you with how to charge your services. But really, I would say just go in and don't undercharge yourself, because there are virtual assistants out there who are less trained than you are, who are probably charging more. So go in there, be confident. And if you don't feel like you're trained, then join something like the Rocket VA Academy and upskill yourself. Another common question: can I do this alongside my 9 to 5 job or as a parent? Yes. Flexibility is one of the biggest benefits of this job. And I would also say that if you are in a space right now where stability is very important to you, like it is to most of us, and perhaps you're not in a position with savings or with, something to fall back on, then I wouldn't go all in on your virtual assistant business until you're ready to make the leap. But a great way to do it is in a flexible way, like building a business in your evenings and your weekends around being a parent, so that you can build your client base and get to a space where you feel ready to take on full-time clients. And, when I started my network marketing business, I was kind of promised that like in a year I would be earning like about 2-3K a month. But honestly, I was in that business for 3 years and I never earned that money. But when I was in a virtual assistant business, yes, I did, because I was doing the work and ultimately I was getting paid per hour, but I was getting good pay per hour. And I'd built it up to a stage where even though I wasn't in a 9 to 5 job or a parent at the time, I still was looking after my niece for summer holidays and was able to build my business. I literally remember in the evenings and on weekends, I would build a business for the 6 week summer holiday. But that enabled me for during the day to be really present with my niece and literally look after her from like 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. So yes, you can do this alongside a job or being a parent. And then also it gives you the stability so that when you reach, say, 2-3 clients, you're like, okay, I have this XYZ income. I feel like I can take on more clients, and now is the time to leave this 9 to 5 job, or now is the time maybe you need to have a childminder, or maybe you don't want that. That's why you're doing this business. And that's the thing, you can build your part-time hours, full-time hours, whatever you want. Flexibility is one of the biggest benefits. And another question, will it really give me freedom? Like, yes, Debbie, I see you living your freedom life, like out on the terrace, walking by the beach, having matches every day. But will it give me the freedom that I want? And absolutely. But freedom comes with building a business step by step. It wasn't an overnight success for me to get into this place. And also, I was living out my grandma's back bedroom and also in my sister's single room for a year. But with that time period, I really put my head down and knew that this would happen sometime because I was on the trajectory and I was doing the work. So I really feel like for anyone aspiring to be a VA, it's really about showing up for yourself. It's about doing the work in the dark hours, or the hours where no one sees you and where perhaps your work isn't producing money, because maybe you're building your own website, you're doing the training, you're setting up your Instagram, you're reaching out to people, you're learning the skills that you need to know. All of these things you're not getting paid money for, but if you do them, consistency wins. And honestly, I'm going to do a whole episode about consistency and momentum and the values and the mindset you need to be a VA. But really, honestly, if you want a life of freedom, you absolutely can create it. And it comes with building your business step by step and trusting the process, and honestly never giving up, because so many people give up on a business because it feels hard at first. But like anything in life, the things that are really important to us and things that are going to bring us a joy, that it can be hard at first, but the reward is so worth it. And honestly, when you get to this point where you are working with clients who light you up, you are earning more than your corporate income, you are potentially working in a cafe with your friends, or you're able to take a holiday and for a month and work for a couple of weeks of it because you're a VA, or you're able to pick up your kids from school because you've built the business where you can have that freedom and flexibility, then it's so worth digging deep at the beginning and just really going for it. So we're going to move on and talk about the top 3 qualities every VA needs. Now, I mentioned these earlier on, but these really are important. And I think these are the 3 non-negotiable qualities that I believe every successful VA needs. Number one, organization. Clients rely on you to keep things moving, to manage tasks, to meet deadlines. If you're not organized in your client's business or in your own business, then you're not organized anywhere. And I think that you really need to hone in on this skill, and it's really going to help you not only keep your business thriving and growing, but also help your clients as well. And ultimately, your clients are often coming to you because they want someone who's organized to help organize their stuff. They're likely in chaos and likely got files all over. You as a VA are going to come and pull things together, get organized, and also make sure that deadlines and goals are met. So organization is crucial. Also, good communication. So being clear and professional builds trust and makes everything run smoothly. So, being good communication with your client. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be in constant communication, because as a virtual assistant, let's remember, if we're hired for 10 or 20 hours a month for the client, we're not going to be online for the rest of the hours because we're not getting paid to be. But good communication means telling your client, okay, you've hired me for 20 hours this month. I'm going to come online on Tuesday, on Thursday, and Friday for an hour and a half each day. And in those time periods, I'm going to do the work for you, and I'll reply on Slack. And of course, you can be there for, if they have an urgent question, they can reach out to you, perhaps by email or WhatsApp. But really good communication is being clear around your boundaries also, and then making sure everything runs smoothly and nothing gets left behind. So we recommend in the Rocket Academy to use a tool called Slack, which is a bit like an online messaging tool where you can speak with clients and have different channels for different topics. And it's a great way of keeping everything consistent and concise online, and also takes reliance off WhatsApp, so you can have your own life and not feel like you're in constant communication with your clients. But I say to my clients, if there's anything urgent, please reach out to me on WhatsApp, and you can do the same. So organization, good communication, and finally, I'd say efficiency. So not rushing, but working smart, delivering results quickly and accurately. So, let's be honest, if you're not efficient, that means you could be wasting time, you're procrastinating, not only in your own business, but in your client's business. And clients are coming to you because they want an efficient VA who is trained, who uses their time wisely, and is moving towards a goal. So if you are working smart for them, then you're going to become an awesome VA and an asset to their team, and ultimately someone that they want to continue working with. And that's the goal. We don't want clients who we're working with for a couple of months and then we move on. Ideally, we want clients who we're building communications, building relationships with, and working with them for a year or two, or maybe even longer. And there's so many opportunities with that in the VA world to build communications and to build relationships that last long term, and that's what we want. And let's be honest, if you're not proactive, motivated, and a self starter, this career probably isn't for you, because at the end of the day, you're running your own business. Clients don't want to micromanage, they want you to take initiative and make their lives easier. So, really, really think about this. Are you proactive? Are you a self starter? Are you motivated? Can you get yourself up in the morning? Can you set your alarm, and can you get yourself motivated when you don't have the target of some other boss standing behind you? Because ultimately, as a VA, yes, you have freedom, but this means that you have to keep showing up for yourself and also your clients and your business. So, for me, I make it a non-negotiable every morning to get up and go to the gym. I don't have to do it, but I choose to, because that gets me in the right mindset, and also make sure that I'm at my desk by 10 or 11 a.m. ready to do work. And because I live in Spain, my day starts slightly later. But for you, you could be a VA who wants to get up and do their hours early in the morning. So can you set your alarm for 6 a.m., do your morning gratitude and a little quick walk, be at your desk for 7, and work until 1 or 2 p.m.? If you can, then great. But if you're feeling like you would struggle at the thought of having no one kind of on your shoulder, then this might not be the career for you. Or it might be an opportunity for you to actually train yourself to realize that your potential is within you, and that if you are motivated enough to do this and want this freedom lifestyle, you can do it, and you can change your habits right now. So, clients are not going to want to micromanage you. You're the one who's going to be actually making your clients accountable, and encouraging them to stick to their deadlines, make sure they get files and documents to you on time so that you can complete your work. So, this is a really exciting opportunity to be proactive with our clients and also with our lives, and look at the life we really want, and look at the freedom we want, and how can we make that happen. So if you are proactive with that and motivated towards that vision and making it happen, then you can completely make the virtual assistant life yours. So at this point, you might be thinking, can I really do this? And I want you to know that I've seen people from all walks of life make this career work. I've seen nurses, teachers, full-time mums. I've seen people come from administrative background, so many different stories, but everyone is making it work because they have done the training, they've shown up for themselves, they've been motivated, they've been organized, they've been good communicators, and they've been efficient. So if they can do it, you can too. And it's not about having the perfect skills from day one. It's about starting. It's about being willing to learn and being consistent. And now, in our next episode, we're going to talk about the power of consistency, motivation, how to really show up for yourself. But I really hope that this episode has helped you understand more what a virtual assistant is, the kind of services that you can offer, the kind of income, how to make it work for you, the kind of skills and values that you need. And also to know that being a VA is not just admin, but it's a career that's flexible, accessible, and full of opportunity. So if today's episode lit a spark for you, I'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast, share it with someone who's also looking for freedom and flexibility. And if you're looking to take the next step, check out the Rocket VA Academy, where we've helped people just like you launch their VA businesses and start building a life on their terms. You can head to rocketva.com/starter kit, where we've created a free VA starter kit, and you can also come and connect with us on Instagram at rocketva_. So thank you for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode.